Day 3, England, Australia, Lords, it's Ask George. We're inside tonight, rain stops play. Simon Stokes has provided the first question. So, when do Australia declare and set England an achievable target?
I don't think they'll do that. But I suppose they might. Yeah. They're on a bat. They bowled at them for 4 sessions, weren't they?
Do you think they'll dangle the carrot?
No.
Jack Rule says, don't we just have to get behind Bazball? Yes, it will fail at times, but you can't take the joys and then dump it when it fails.
I think that's a provocative question. Surely, things don't have to be that black and white. Surely, intelligence isn't binary. Surely you can applaud the bravery of their approach and want them to use a bit more gumption. I don't think it has to be like this. I think Bazball isn't an excuse for bad cricket, and it's becoming one.
James Lawler says, why are, it seems, senior players in the England team not saying, hang on a minute, Bazball isn't working, we must rethink. Surely winning is more important than providing so-called entertaining cricket. Similar to the last question.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right. Again, they don't call it that, and we have to be a bit careful about summing something up in the media's words, which is not quite what they said. But yeah, I agree that there are lots of different ways to entertain in cricket, and I don't think you have to necessarily score at 6 and over. I think winning, particularly in the Ashes, is important. And I think you make a really, really good point about the coaches and senior players. It would be nice if someone was saying, well, you know, it's not quite Emperor's New Clothes territory, but I'm not sure the Emperor's wearing a lot.
Kev Smith says, if you were a top batter as opposed to a top journo,
Very kind.
this must be to me. Oh, no,
Oh, yes, Steve.
How would you value your wicket? Steve Smith style or Bazball style?
I mean, Steve Smith batted utterly wonderfully here and showed how you play, doesn't he? And like lots of good batters, he's shown the ability to accelerate once he's in. It's just good batting. It's not particularly revolutionary. It's good.
Somebody called Thumbs says, do you agree that there's nothing wrong with playing entertaining cricket, but playing silly shots and losing is not actually very entertaining?
Well, I mean, it depends. No, of course I agree with the question. But this entertaining cricket definition, what does that mean? Is being caught at mid-on entertaining? Is 3 or 4 people falling to the... Oh, it was more than that, wasn't it? Falling to the hook shot entertaining? Is it? I don't know. I mean, can't you just be good? I've always quite liked cricket before. This whole thing about you have to be entertaining, they're saving Test cricket. I don't know how many tests I've covered in England, 100, maybe more. How many of them have not been sold out? 3? The narrative needs correcting. Cricket the approach doesn't have to be black and white. They are not saving Test cricket. And I'll tell you what there is a danger of. The Ashes could be over as a contest by what? The middle of July. Is that saving Test cricket? I think that's quite dangerous.
They seem to have a sort of evangelistic view of sort of globally, don't they? Rather.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. I mean, it's not cricket in the UK, it's fine, isn't it? It's just we need to save it around the world kind of thing.
Well, there's all sorts of ways to do that, and I'm not sure that having 4 or 5 people caught on the hook is the way to do it.
Okay, Background Noise asks, for all the talk about you-know-what, is the bottom line that Australia are just the better side?
Yeah, it's a reasonable point. I mean...
I don't think they were the better side, Edgbaston.
It's slipping that way, isn't it? But I'm not quite ready to admit that yet.
They've been the better side here, I think. JB says, when and why was the controlled aggression approach replaced with the idiocy and stupidity we've witnessed?
It's a really good point. I do think there's a distinction. I do think they played differently last year. And it feels as if they've got a wee bit drunk on their own publicity, and that sometimes they're trying to justify their own words and their own hubris. So I think that's a really well put question. And there obviously, again, is a balance. By all means be positive, by all means play this style of cricket that suits these really wonderful players, and I think people will understand a certain amount of, there's a certain margin for error. But I think what we're seeing now is reckless, and it's not positive cricket, it's not aggressive cricket if you can't keep your front foot behind the line. It's not aggressive, clever cricket if you can't catch the ball. It's just poor cricket. And there's this very clear distinction. They're playing reckless cricket at the moment.
Dave Studland says Stokes has said England want to take the positive option and win tests.
Yeah.
Was the positive option this morning not grinding Australia down and putting England in the best position to win this game?
I think I got a bit lost by the question, but I think there was absolutely a legitimate tactic to put lots and lots of overs in the Australian bowlers' legs. Bearing in mind it's back-to-back tests here, from here to Leeds. Exploit the fact that Nathan Lyon isn't going to be able to bowl, maybe to take a huge first innings lead. I mean, that was a possibility when we arrived this morning, and put them under pressure in the third innings. That was an absolutely sensible tactic, yeah.
It certainly was at 188 for 1. James says, have England made the mistake of believing their own hype and flipped from low ego to huge ego cricket?
I think there's something in that, but the management need to be, well, what are the management doing? I mean, if as management you're just saying, go out there, have a lovely time, take the pressure off, by the way, what do you want, beer or wine? Anyone could do that.
Neil Varani asks, the final question, is Stuart Broad the boy who celebr-appealed Wolf?
Yeah, I mean, so if people were watching, I mean, he was insistent that Stokes take a review that Stokes didn't take, and it was shown that it would have been out. But there had been several previously that he'd insisted Stokes take and wouldn't have been out. So yes, the way you've put it, he obviously, it's easy to be critical, but there's a lot of passion and commitment with Stuart Broad, which is why he's had this incredible career. And it needs strong captaincy, and Stokes got one wrong and several right. Stuart Broad is in that regard the boy who cried wolf. That's a fair comment.
Well, England assistant coach Jeetan Patel says the match is in the balance, so we'll see tomorrow.
He did. He said it was finely poised.
Finely poised, that's it. Yeah.
He's a very positive man. Hey, it was a year ago we saw England chase down 385 against an attack that was probably better than this one actually, the Indian side, because they had Ashwin, I think, and there's not a lot of demons in this wicket. Stranger things have happened, but not masses of them.